Hey everyone, this is Sid from Entrepreneur Empowered. Today we have a real special guest on the show, Mr. Corlandos Scott, who is an attorney
Yeah.
and who's breaking waves. He just started a nonprofit. So I wanted to interview him and talk about his nonprofit, see what it has in mind, and see if we can get his word out there. So hi Corlandos, how you doing?
Doing great, Sid. Doing great, Sid. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to chat with you and just excited about all the opportunities out there. So
Absolutely.
glad to have a chance to chat.
Perfect. Well, thanks for showing up and being excited as ever. One of my favorite clients.
I'll pay you later for that, but no.
So, listen, I wanted to dive into your nonprofit today and kind of get an understanding of who you are,
Mhm.
what your background has been, and why you had this vision of starting the nonprofit and where you want to take it. So, let's start with who you are, what kind of law do you practice and where has your experience been?
Sure. Well, I'm in Los Angeles, California, and I am an assisted reproductive technologies attorney. That's a whole lot of words. That means I help people have babies. I help the people who refuse to give up their dreams of having a baby. I help them grow their family through assistance. So that's either, egg donation, sperm donation, embryo donation, but most times it's through surrogacy. And I absolutely love it. I could pull out some of my photos, but I get all the little holiday cards and
Right.
stuff like that with the baby photos, and that's what keeps me going. So
Amazing. And I think that's very important, especially for people who have, they want to grow a family, can't do it by themselves. And so let's dive into that. What does that even mean? Is it the the mom and the dad who are donating what they have, or is it using somebody else's? How does that work?
absolutely. So most time, let's just take just a traditional case. You'd have maybe a couple who tried on their own to have a child, and for whatever biological reason, it's just not happening. They're dealing with what I believe 1 in 7 couples deal with in our country, which is infertility. And so they come to the decision that they need some help. For a lot of women, it's not that they can't carry a child, it's that their genetic material, their gametes, as we call them, their eggs aren't viable. So they need an egg donor. They get another woman to donate her eggs.
Uh-huh.
And for instance, in this case, the husband would combine his sperm to create embryos. She would carry the baby. For
Got
some
it.
women, they can't carry a baby. So for them, they would need another woman to carry the embryo or to carry the baby created from the embryo that she and her husband provides. So it can be a mixed match of either I need genetic material to create an embryo that I'll carry, or I have genetic material, I need somebody else to carry the baby, or both. So that's how it
Interesting.
plays out. But in all those instances, Sid, there are legal ramifications, and you want to make sure that all your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, and that everything is spelled out correctly according to the law so that you can leave the hospital with a baby that you didn't give birth to legally. So that's where I come
Right. And I imagine like 1 in 7 is quite a lot, and I think that those rates are going to increase or rather decrease, whatever way you want to call it, because people are choosing to have kids later in life as opposed to 20, 30, 50 years ago. So the
in.
older we get, we all know that the chances reduce, and also lifestyle plays a big part. People are stressed out. We all have work on our mind. People are working harder than ever before. And
Mhm.
so how does that play a part into this whole equation?
It definitely increases the numbers. So you hit it on the head. And unfortunately, in our society, I believe sincerely that for women, there is a sort of glass ceiling that they have to deal with, not only in their personal lives, but in the professional world. So a lot of my clients who are women, they're spending a lot of their time early in their careers trying to advance their career, and they're putting family building on the back burner simply because they're fighting against, for some time, systems and things that require their full attention.
Of
And
course.
they say, well, I'll get around to building a family. Well, as biology would have it, the later you wait, the more difficult it can become. So I have a number of just amazing, driven professional women who have just waited late enough that they need some extra help. And I also have single parents, just single intended parents, as we call them. That's the legal phrase that we use, but single hopeful parents. They're not in a relationship. And so, of course, they need some help also. But there's a number of ways that people reach my desk. But the one thing that I always keep in the back of my mind is I was never their first option. Nobody grows up thinking, I want to grow my family, let me call Corlandos the attorney. No, I'm always the option after you've maybe tried everything, or after maybe you've exhausted other efforts, you land on my desk. So that creates, just this, a different
sort of tense situation already.
For sure. And so you have to be sensitive to that in the field or in the niche that I'm in my practice.
Right.
So.
No, I don't think you have a great temperament. You're a very patient guy, and I think those are all characteristics that somebody in your practice would have to develop, even if they don't have it, to be successful. And so, talking about the legal ramifications, does it differ state to state, or is it across the board? You have in the U.S. a certain set of laws.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the U.S., there's no federal law that pertains to surrogacy. You have some other countries that have, as a nation, they've outlawed surrogacy, or they have certain rules about surrogacy. The U.S. isn't one of them. So that leaves it up to the states to create their own systems and procedures and practices. And every state has its own set of rules. So you have states like California, probably I'd say the best state in the U.S. for going through assisted reproduction, because we have a large body of law, both statutory, as you know, and we also have case law on it. So we have been there before, and you can rely on what the books say about surrogacy or egg donation in California. Just across the border, though, in Arizona, surrogacy contracts aren't recognized. So
really, okay.
Technically, you go across the border from California to Arizona as a surrogate and you deliver, it's a possibility that you just had a new baby for yourself, because the paper that surrogacy contract may have been written on isn't worth anything. You see some states coming around, like New York just passed laws. So you have everything from surrogacy is outlawed to a state like California where surrogacy is legal and we have all the mechanisms in place. And then you have things in between. Some states don't have any rules on the books. So it's kind of we'll try it and we'll do what we can and we'll navigate it as we go, because they don't say we can't, but they don't say we can. So we'll figure it out. So it's important for a lot of my clients to realize, where are you going to be doing the process? And that's part of where I come in as advisor to them, and letting them know that, where you do your surrogacy journey is a huge
part. It sounds like it. I mean, you make one false move or you take one wrong flight, and all of a sudden you may end up with not being able to claim legally what's your baby, right?
Absolutely. See,
that's interesting. I did not know that. And so typically your clients show up to you before they start the process, or after they've had it and they're like, hey, you know what, I need to call an attorney and find out this process?
Man, it's a great question. One that I rack my brain about, because the way that it happens isn't the way that I believe it should be. What happens most times is they find me after they've started the process and have gone through some of the steps. In a state like California and many other states, it's required that both parties will take surrogacy. Both parties in a surrogacy arrangement have to be represented by separate counsel. They want to make sure that both parties know what they're getting into, that they're protected, that they've had time to flesh out the legal things. So most people find me after they've gone to a doctor, after they've gone to what we call these surrogacy matching agencies that will match a hopeful parent with a woman willing to carry. They come to me after all that and they say, now I need a legal contract. The problem with that, Sid, is that I've had so many clients, way more than I wish, who have come to me and said, hey, I've been screwed by my matching agency. They charged me 10 grand, told me they were going to match me with a surrogate. It took them 6 months. They matched me with 4 surrogates and none of them passed their medical screening to be qualified. I want a refund, but they tell me that the agreement that I signed said no refunds. And I say,
Really?
man, I
Okay.
wish you had come to me at the beginning. I could have navigated you through all of that. I could have reviewed that agency contract. I could have told you what to look out for. So to answer your question, they do typically start with other professionals in the assisted reproduction world and then come to me later. But what should happen is you should engage that attorney from the very beginning, because you've got to hire one anyway. So you might as well get the biggest bang for your buck. Bring them on at the beginning.
And
Let them
avoid
guide
those
you.
mistakes, right? Avoid those complications and the stress that's related to the whole process. You know?
Absolutely. That's what I say. You want to save time, sleep, and money. Those are three things you don't want to lose. And
Right.
if you're unconfident of how it's going to work, you're going to lose sleep. If you're signing stuff you don't know what it means, you're going to lose money, and all of that leads to losing time. And you just don't want to do that. You don't.
So Corlandos, how long have you been practicing in California, and how many people have you helped, do you think, roughly over these years?
Yeah. So I've been practicing in California since 2011. I
Okay.
have been just really exclusively almost in this assisted reproduction area since 2013.
Okay.
And I stumbled into it, fell in love with it, and there was no turning back from there. I probably helped, honestly, I want to say into the thousands, because I've worked with both parents, hopeful parents, and I've worked with surrogates and donors. So I've been on both sides of these
So you understand
matches.
the full breadth of what's involved in both sides.
Absolutely.
That's a very niche practice, I have to say.
Yeah, I love it too. I love it. And it's important to know what both sides are thinking.
Sure.
I can help my parent clients a lot more because I've been on that other side representing that surrogate. I know what she's thinking. I know what's going through her head. I know what her concerns are. I know what she's looking for in a good set of parents to make that relationship, work. Because, Sid, we're talking about a 12 to 15 month relationship. Carrying the child is what, 9 months, 10 months?
Yes.
And then, between finding her, going through the legal contracts, going through the medical process to get pregnant, that's another 2-3 months. So we're talking really 10 to 15 months that you're in a relationship. So it's important that you know what's going on.
All right. No, that's very interesting to know. So let's dive into your nonprofit and what inspired you. First of all, what's the name of your nonprofit?
It's the Assisted Reproduction Center.
I love it. And so you're set up in California, and we're helping you set up with the federal and get you your paperwork and all that kind of stuff, good stuff done. And so what's your vision? When you approach me, that this is my world of setting up nonprofits. I've helped people in all different industries. And so when you approached me, why did you think that this was a good idea, especially from an educational standpoint? What do you aim to accomplish with that?
Well, the first thing I noticed about you, Sid, is that, you hear that, you've probably heard that old saying, those who can do, those who can't teach.
Right.
And so the implication is teachers aren't typically the ones that are out there in the real world making it happen, but you were different. You encompassed both of those things. So not only were you a person who helped people start their nonprofits and get that ball rolling, but you had one yourself, or more than
Multiple.
one. And right, you have multiple ones, and you're doing it yourself. So when I saw you, I was like, wait a minute, he's a little bit different. He's not just like everyone else that you might find online or in business who want to teach you something or show you something. No, he's actually doing it. So I can speak with someone who's not only teaching, but doing. And I saw that you had, I think over the course of the last year, been able to give back and donate hundreds of thousands of dollars through your various nonprofits.
Right.
And when I saw that, I caught that vision and I said, I want to be able to do the same thing. Even if I can't do it at the scale that Sid's doing it, I want to be able to do it on some level in my world. Because like we said at the beginning, infertility is such a personal subject. It's such a heart-wrenching topic that it goes really to the core of humanity, in my opinion.
You don't talk about it, right? This is a very sensitive thing. You don't advertise, hey, we're facing something like this. This is something very secretive. It's very personal, very private.
Yeah.
And so it's a very sensitive topic.
Absolutely. My goal was I want to be able to help these people who are trying to grow their family. I have two little ones. I know you have your dad as well. And I'm sure you'd agree with me. There's nothing I give, in place of that.
Of
And
course.
I want to be able to give people that feeling that you have the pleasure of having, that I have the pleasure of having, of waking up and having that little one, tugging at you or jumping on you, wanting to go play. I want to be able to give that to as many people as I can. And
Absolutely.
one of the solutions for me was the nonprofit. That's why it was a godsend when I found it.
Amazing. That's amazing. And I think, with your nonprofit, especially the educational side of it, where now you can reach individuals considering this journey early in the early part of the journey, be able to reach them, teach them, help them understand all the different processes involved. So there's sort of transparency in this process. Sounds like a lot of people are caught by surprise later in the stages.
Mhm.
They realize, oh, there are a lot more legal ramifications than I even considered, because
Mhm.
this is not something somebody goes up and types up on Google or Facebook and ads are
Mhm.
popping up at you, but rather it's something that I think, especially through education, that you can change that perspective, change the narrative there, and help them, point them in the right direction and guide them in a way that, typically in a law firm, they would do it when it's too late. When you get that legal court order or you run into a problem, which is what ended up with me. That's why I'm in the nonprofit world. I wanted to teach business owners on how they can avoid going bankrupt ultimately. I was a bankruptcy lawyer for 15 years, switched gears and said, how do I educate people so they can build recession-proof practice by educating someone? And, it's been very fulfilling. I've been able to reach thousands more than I could do as an attorney. And I think that's something that you'll be able to accomplish through a nonprofit, which I think is a very noble cause. It's a great vision that you have. So let's, real quick, last two questions. Let's talk about some of the courses that you plan to offer. Who is it for? Who do you think it's a right fit for?
I think really anyone who is considering growing their family through assisted reproduction, specifically surrogacy for one of the courses that I'm rolling out. You need all the information you can up front. You hit the nail on the head, Sid. A lot of attorneys make their money off of things going wrong. And unfortunately, I was in the position where I had to help a lot of people get out of stuff. I had to help a lot of people get out of stuff when things went wrong. But I would much rather help someone at the beginning of the journey keep things from going wrong. So the surrogacy path is the first of the educational pieces that we'll be rolling out. And it's going to walk people through the surrogacy process from dream to delivery day. It's going to let them know exactly what the first, second, third, fourth step is and how to navigate that entire process so that they don't lose sleep time and money like we talked about. So I'm really excited about rolling out the surrogacy path.
Awesome. And real quick, last question, Corlandos. What do you think in terms of impact? What's your vision with this nonprofit? And just to give you perspective, again, nonprofits are perpetual in existence. This is something that you can educate and empower people for the rest of your life and even leave a legacy behind. What is your vision? What's your broad vision in the next 1 year, in the next, let's say 20 years or 30 years, as long as you're going to be practicing in this area?
It really just lights me up on the inside to think that this idea, this concept that's becoming a nonprofit, that's becoming a tool, can live beyond me. I'm excited just at the thought of that. But of course, there's some things that I want to accomplish in the short term. So over the course of the next year, I really want to be able to have the organization team up with other professionals. That's the one thing about surrogacy and assisted reproduction is it's collaborative in nature. You've probably heard the saying, it takes a village. Yeah. They say it takes a village to raise a child.
Yep.
Well, in assisted reproduction, it takes a village just to have one.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you have a doctor, you have the lawyers, you have the matching agencies, you have the surrogate, you have the donor. And I really would like for my organization to be able to team up with other professionals, like the doctors, like the mental health professionals, and provide quality education to people at the very beginning of the process so that their journey can go smooth and they can one day be walking out of the hospital with a little package in their hand that's going to change the rest of their life.
I love it. I love the vision. I love your drive. I can see you're so passionate about this. So, Corlandos, thanks for jumping on the nonprofit interview with me and telling our audience and your audience and all the prospective, people who are going to take your educational courses and go through your nonprofit. And I think you're going to change a lot of lives, and people are going to be very, very happy. And like you said, it's having the little bundle of joy. There's no feeling. Literally, that's your seed that's going to continue on. Your legacy is going to continue on. And I think through your nonprofit, especially with some of the organizations that we're going to reach out to get funding for you, I think this is really something that's going to have a true, meaningful, direct impact that can, people are going to be thankful for the rest of their lives, and they're going to talk about you to their kids. This one lawyer helped me out that day, and to their grandkids. And because of you, you're going to have generations being passed on. So I love the vision, my man. Thanks again for jumping on. Any final thoughts?
Listen, I want to say, keep doing what you're doing, because, it's a chain reaction. It's a chain reaction. Your insightfulness and help throughout this process is helping me get education to other people. So although that grandkid might not know that Sid made this happen, you definitely played a small part in bringing some babies into this world, my man. So
of course.
Thank you again. And I just, to anyone out there who's looking to grow their family and running into difficulties and dealing with infertility, just know that there are answers out there. Don't give up. Don't give up. You deserve the family that you want.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Corlandos. And hey, thanks everyone for watching. There you have it, right from the horse's mouth. Corlando Scott, your surrogacy attorney. And if you have any questions, feel free to enroll into his courses. I guarantee you'll learn a lot, and you'll understand the process with more transparency. At the end of the day, it's about avoiding a situation that can truly, make or break a situation. In this case, it's going to help you keep your baby and go through the process in a stress-free manner. So congrats again on taking this step and building your nonprofit. Wish you all the best.
Thanks a lot, Sid. Have a good one.